The high-quality AI video generation models out there are stacking up fast, especially on Venice, which at the time of me recording has almost 60 video models available. Uncensored, private, anonymous, text to video, image to video, video to video. So there's a lot going on here in the world of AI video generation. And if you're trying to make longer form videos, sometimes a typical web interface is not the most optimal way of going about it. Now, it could be comfortable. It could help in some fine-tuning situations, which you'll see a little bit in this video. But the truth is, when you're working with this many models, using the API is a great way to get work done faster with less human in the loop necessary to achieve quality results. I'd like to introduce you to a few different GitHub repos I've been working on for you to make more high-quality, longer videos using the Venice API. Now, this first one here is a skill for model routing with videos. It'll start with generating reference images, and then it will create the videos. It'll edit images to fix faces. It'll generate the videos from the reference images, and basically it just does different routing to make sure it uses the right model. This is one of them. That's a skill. This second one, the Venice Video Harness, I actually think is more effective. This one is a straight up workspace inside an IDE like Cursor or Visual Studio Code using Claude Code or Open Code. There's many videos on this channel where you can learn how to use Venice with different tools. But for you more advanced users, this harness will essentially help you one-shot longer form videos, so then you just can go through and use natural language to fix them up. Now let me show you what that means. But before we begin, let's just walk through what you're going to need to follow along. You're going to need an API key and credits from Venice. Now, why do we use Venice? Well, it is the only private API, but also it's got over 160 models available, including many video models, image, text, audio, all of which we're going to need in this project. So why use scattered providers? Venice makes this really simple. But that's not all, because with the DIEM token, if you stake one of them, you get $1 worth of Venice API credits every day. So if you have 10 DIEM, you get $10 every day that refreshes, and you only have to buy those DIEM once. So for hobby projects, like making videos and content, this is a very good use case of the DIEM token, because then you're not going to have to spend the money over and over and over. You just have to buy it one time. This is also a different kind of video than usual because I'm not going to walk you through step by step how to use this workspace because your agent will do that for you, but rather I'm just going to show you around the workspace, everything from the sub agents and commands and skills to how to use it to what it will do for you. You can actually use the Venice interface and the Venice Studio to help you along with certain things like editing, and even, as we'll see, generating videos with just a little more of a comfortable interface here, just to have a little more fine-tuned control over some of these parameters. Now, to start us off, let me just show you what I'm going to create in this video using the tools that I show you how to use.
It's almost there. I wrote the code that created a deity. Now I push the commit that destroys one.
Fuck this up.
Okay, so I took this to the next level. I took it into my editing software. I added titles. We obviously put a Natalie Portman in there. And this is a bit beyond what these workspaces are going to do for you. But that said, once you run this workspace in your IDE, it will actually edit everything for you on its own. It's not going to be perfect, but it will edit it for you. You can see how now the shots are a little long, and I'll talk about this again later, but I just want to show you, you can use this whole workspace to actually edit for you. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the beginning. Let's set this up in our IDE. So let's clone the repo and get started. Either copy the URL of the GitHub repo or download the zip. Head over to your IDE, whether that's Cursor or Visual Studio Code, and then click Clone Repo and paste that URL in there. And you're going to open that up and you're going to have a fresh workspace here. Now, you're going to want to put in your Venice API key right here, paste that in. And then if we take a look around, we'll see our ClaudMD. This is our behavioral context file. It'll tell our agent what this workspace, this harness, what it does, and how we use it. And here we'll see our sub-agents, our skills, etc. You're basically going to start by telling your IDE what you want to make. I want to make a sci-fi cinematic trailer about 60 seconds long. That's really all you need to say here. You could be as detailed as you want, but what we're going to do now is walk through our desires, and I'm using Opus 4.6 here inside Cursor, and it's going to help me make a plan. So we'll switch into plan mode. Now, it took a look at the workspace, and it saw the Venice Intergalactic series that I've been working on that I'm going to show you in just a minute. So in this case, I would just say brand new concept. What kind of style do we want? Let's do mysterious and cerebral, and it'll start making a plan here. All right, do we have a story concept in mind? It has some ideas, obviously, or it can just surprise us. Let's see, an AI achieves consciousness in a research facility. That sounds boring. Yeah, develop a concept for me. Surprise me. How many main characters? Just small ensemble. So what will happen is you'll make your plan, and you'll see I've got it working right here. You'll make your plan, and it will help you create all your reference files for your character. This is Srihav Kire, our protagonist here, who created the Oracle, which got too powerful and got out of his control. And so in the trailer, it's insinuated that he's going to destroy it. Fun concept, right? And once it has its characters, it will also create the different scenes we're going to use. So when we reference the monolith, we'll have something like this: monolith wide shot, the chamber of the Oracle, and the siege entrance, the siege workshop, siege. I'm not sure what that word actually means, but the AI does. And it will use these as scenes to plop in the characters. Pretty neat. Now, how's it going to do that? It's going to do that by these skills. So we have the character consistency skill, which is how to describe the characters, but then also how to generate the reference angles. 4 angles per character: front, 3/4 view, profile view, and full body. And this skill also says which model to use, which is, for now, Kling 03 standard reference to video. This allows us to include the frontal image and reference images in the API call as parameters. These are R2V models, and they're really how to create like the highest quality AI video you can. So it's got all these skills in here, including shot composition, how to use the Venice AI, etc., etc. It's also got these commands, which would essentially help you create certain types of content, from a series to a trailer to just a video to exploring an aesthetic, making a character, etc. You can really choose how much work you want to do versus how much you just want to let the AI do on its own and check back in with you. It will then start generating images that it then turns into shots, one at a time. We see we get a JSON file for each shot with the model and the prompt. Now, this was done back when Veo 3.1 was the best for these establishing shots. It's since been switched to Seedance 2.0 for obvious reasons. We can see all the details that the API is using to generate that video shot, and we can see the reference image. You'll also see that there's quality assurance. So here we have an image that was generated, but something went wrong and it didn't match the reference. Now it was generated again, and we can see that it matches the reference. And it even archives the old files that didn't work at all. This reference is completely wrong. And then finally, the most official shot that it's going to use for the generation is named shot 2, and then it turns that into the video. So this is done by the storyboard quality assurance agent here, whose role is to analyze the generated storyboard panels for character consistency. And then it will make sure all the storyboard images are consistent, that the prompts are detailed enough for generating the characters and aesthetics, and it just makes sure everything goes right. And this is why this kind of harness will use more tokens and more credits for generation, but it requires less of your own input. See how we have the wrong VVV logo here? It didn't use the reference image. Instead, it just put in VVV. So we had to fix it and actually put the logo in there until finally we got the shot we used, and that was turned into a video file. So it does this shot by shot, one by one. So then it'll just work here in the background for hours until you decide, I don't like shot one. Change the POV, change the angle, etc. Like, you can just use natural language to change anything you want. And then at the end, it will then take all of these files after they've been fixed and regenerated several times. It will take all these shots and finally generate a final version of the video to watch. And then I can use natural language to say, okay, cut the first 2 seconds of shot 3 and the last half second. Add a cross dissolve between shots 1 and 2. I can edit with natural language, and it will then create a final video for us to watch with these shots. I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit, because I think it's important to also throw the Venice Studio in this mix. Now, sometimes there will be shots that the AI and cursor just can't make well, in which case it's helpful to come into the Venice interface and fix the shot. For example, this shot, for example.
Don't fuck this up.
If I click this arrow, reload the original draft, it will restore all that prompt here where she says you are profitable, don't fuck this up. And here in the references, we'll see that we have element 1, which is the oracle with their reference images. I only have one side angle here. And then element 2, the protagonist and his reference images, and then the scene, which is inside the oracle chamber. And so we can kind of see the oracle chamber here, but really you can see it really well in the background there, even at a different angle. Even here, we can see the chamber. So I obviously was not happy with my results from cursor, so I went in here and I regenerated everything manually. And sometimes it's just helpful to do that. And there's really no reason for that, because this harness workspace knows everything. From the API docs, it knows everything about these models. But sometimes it just helps when you're the creative director, you have the vision for the shot to really craft that video gen prompt yourself. So that's how the workspace will generate shots. The thing is, Seedance 2.0 is not available via the Venice API yet at the time of recording this. So if you want to get super cinematic or super detailed shots, Seedance 2.0 does a really good job, probably better than Kling, better than Veo 3.1 now. So for example, check out this shot here. Just super realistic, nice music, very epic. And you'll even see here this ballet shot. We get multi-shot cuts here. So we could use some of our character reference files in Seedance 2.0 R2V. It doesn't use elements in the same way as Kling. You just attach reference images. So you could attach your characters, you can attach your scenes, and generate the image with a prompt. So for example, this character is not in our Dune movie, but this scene is. This is the Oracle's chamber.
Should have known. So
now we put just a random woman in there using reference shots for cinematic masterpiece. So to recreate that, I just attach the reference images. So I've got these reference images attached, and I would say reference image 2, tag it, walks into image 1 and looks around desperately. We'll even say wide shot before a sudden explosion. Cut to medium shot of image 2, falling down and looking anxious and beginning to run away. And then we can use AI to enhance that prompt, which is what the harness would do anyway, essentially. And I'm going to have to re-tag the images here, most likely. Yeah. So we'll say image 1, wide establishing shot showing, oh, it does still keep that in there. Image 2, walking into the image 1 chamber. There we go. So now we will see our character walk into the chamber and experience all the action. So I'm sharing this with you because if you really want to make a quality video, once again, sometimes the workspace is great. Sometimes it'll even edit it great. Sometimes you want to come over to the UI. And in the case of right this moment, Seedance 2.0 is only available on the UI right now, and it creates some of the best shots. So we want to take advantage of that. Okay, now I'm getting an issue with the content filter using that reference image. So I'll just go ahead and use a picture of the oracle here as image 2. It's out of character, but I'm really just trying to show you how this works anyway. Boom. So now here we go. She walks in. Now this is supposed to be like an AI god, so I don't think she would have emotion like that, but look at the shot. Look at it. It's like a movie. So then you can see how you might want to have fun with it on the interface and just copy the last frame and continue, for example, which is easier on the interface than in the IDE workspace. So that's it on shots. Now let's look more into the files that the harness creates for your work. We can check out the series here. This is what the workspace creates at the beginning. It has all the details that the workspace is going to need for generating all of the images, the videos, etc. So we got the aesthetic, the setting, the genre, the characters, what they look like, their voice description, which we didn't do here, but the workspace is capable of. It's just a lot more tricky to sync a voice long term. We have the oracle. We have the episode number, if it's done or not, the aspect ratio, which is important, and then the default models. And it does create a music track. And there's no prompt here for the music, but I can ask, what prompt did you use for the music? And to generate music on the UI, you just click the plus on the chat, generate audio. You can choose the model. I normally use 11 Labs. I'm always very impressed with 11 Labs. You can also do it for sound effects and voice. But here in 11 Labs, I can choose instrumental only. I choose whatever the length was, about a minute, and then I just give it the prompt. And this is what it was, a cinematic orchestral score inspired by desert landscapes, blah, blah, blah. And then I can just click generate here and fine tune that as well. I also like to say first 10 seconds are soft and mysterious. Next 20 seconds are intense. Following 10 seconds calms down. Final crescendo during final 15 seconds. Something like that. In my experience, 11 Labs does do a good job at timing the sequences that way, but you'll have to just try it out. And we also see that it creates a script for the entire episode. So we got shot number 1. What kind of shot is it? What kind of model it's going to use? A description of the shot, a description of the panel, like the storyboard, the first frame reference, which we're probably not going to use because we just use the character reference files along with the scene reference files. And it shows all the shots in the entire video, and we can use that as a reference as well. Depending on how deep you want to go, maybe you want to add your own sound effects track. This workspace, you'll also see each shot has a JSON file with the prompt. So you could actually copy this into the Venice Studio, paste that there. You could even click this plus button to make a multi-shot prompt using a model like Kling. It doesn't work with all models. Yeah, this is just an establishing shot. So let's add some action in shot 2. Close up. Suddenly the building explodes. Let's change the length. And we can even enhance that prompt. And we can shoot that off for 142 credits. And we can see that that queues up, and I could actually send more and more if I want. So depending on the level of intimacy you want to have with your video project, you might actually consider just using the Venice interface for everything, or like I do, just to come in and fine tune things. Now it looks like this prompt was a little too long. We'll check back in on cursor. And because these models have vision, they know to look at the picture of the first frame, for example, and see, okay, is it working? Is it what we want? And as you can see here, out of a 1,000,000 token context window, we're only at 145,000. And I have noticed that the quality does degrade, just like anything. It forgets how to do certain things. It forgets to use the skill. I have noticed that. I am working on it. This GitHub repo will continue to be updated as I fix it and enhance it. So you can just do a git pull after you've cloned it. And you can also send your own pull requests as well if you're having fun and improving it. Once I get through it all, we'll see I have all these different shots. It's a little bit of a mess, but it does keep the base shot name, shot 007. It keeps that as the main shot, and then it uses V1, V2, or pre-render, pre-regeneration if it needs to. And once it's all done, we can clean it up. But I do like to see what it starts with, so I can tell if it's doing a good job in the actual pipeline, in the process of creating this reference-based video generation. So here we have 2 different versions. Actually, we have 4 different versions of the same shot. It kind of glitched up and did 16:9. It did one of those as video, and then we have our final shot 009. And that looks as it should. Although that got a little messed up on the forehead there. So that's what I'll say here is shot 9. The logo is messed up on the forehead. Match the reference image better. And also in shot 7, the glowing engraving on his forehead is in the wrong location. And it's not the logo as it should be. So we shoot that off. So this is very much a system where you start with a one shot after you get the aesthetic and the characters figured out. Then you just say, okay, go. And it works for a while, works for a long time. And then it gives you something. And then you go through for each little shot and you go, okay, fix that, fix that, fix that. And ultimately, it will give you a fully stitched together video. But as we're going to see here, the rhythm is a little off. This shot's too long, for example. In fact, it looks like this whole thing just got messed up. Yeah, okay. Or maybe my computer's just glitching. But my point is, some of these shots are just too long. This is an older video where I did all the references wrong. That's not the right character. That's not the right logo. That's, obvious. So we obviously got much better results in the subsequent rounds of generations. But as I was showing, and I don't know what's going on when I play it, it'll freeze. But we just have some issues with the timing and the rhythm. What I do next is I'll take that into proper video editing software. This is Final Cut Pro, but I could also do it here in the Venice Studio, just going to the movie editor. Here in the movie editor, I could simply drag the shot right on in. There it is. And then I could go ahead and edit it all together and even mix in some stuff from what I've generated on the Venice interface. So it's actually very helpful to go in and out here between the IDE and the Venice Studio. Sometimes it's nice to just have some fine-grained abilities to generate these videos like we want. Other times it's nice to just use natural language, make sure that our characters have consistent reference shots. So this gives us some creative flexibility. And this music track you're going to see down here also generated an audio folder by Cursor. It did the whole prompt. And it actually regenerated that for each version.
I wrote the code that made it a god. Now I write the code that ends one.
So some of these shots are all being redone here. Actually, they've already been redone, so let's throw them in. Shot 11, for example. Shot 10.
I wrote the code that created a deity. Now I push the commit that destroys one.
What the Well, I like the idea, but yeah, sometimes Cursor just doesn't get it. Here's a shot we're going to throw in. Although, we got the consistency wrong. So that shot is fixing shot 11 here. As you can see, the logo back there wasn't right. So now we got that one. And then we got some just cool explosion shots we're gonna throw in. What kind of trailer is it if we don't have some explosions? Blatant. Gee, I wonder where these models were trained, huh? There's a Star Destroyer.
Move out! Secure the perimeter!
And then with some of these little montage shots we're going to put in at the end, Those are just easy to say, hey, once you've got your style locked in and in a conversation, and once again, I'm using Opus 4.6 here, we've got a 1,000,000 token context limit. Once it knows what we're working on, I can just say, hey, generate an action shot of the character jumping out of a ship as it explodes and landing on a flying device. Hey, let's make some more shots, explosions, etc. And in fact, we need to fix that shot. So what shot was it? The flying device 17. Fix shot 17 to be so the character is consistent. And then that will just queue and send later. So these are long-term projects here. It's, remarkably similar in time spent to spending a whole day out on a production set, for example. You just don't need as many people. In fact, you only need yourself and perhaps a budget because these generations do add up. So let's throw these in here. I like this when the smoke comes, so we'll cut it there. We'll cut that on a... I don't know if we should use that one. Well, this one maybe is better than the Star Destroyer one. Yeah, let's just do that one. There's explosions everywhere.
I wrote the code that made it.
I think this shot was already good. Yeah. So now we wait for cursor to regenerate those shots, and we're going to have a video. Okay, so here we go. We got our final cut. I had to regenerate a few shots a few times. Had to edit it. I mixed the music a little bit. Let's take a look.
It's almost there. I wrote the code that created a deity. Now I push the commit that destroys one.
Love that scooter shot.
Don't fuck this up.
Yes, that is Natalie Portman. Things with the music. Now, I didn't edit that music, by the way. I just synced the shots to the music. So I do recommend doing that using the Venice Video Studio if you're unfamiliar with nonlinear editing software. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful. This is a great opportunity to mess around with the reference to video models available on Venice. Remember, generating shots all the time does add up. So check out the DIEM token, because once you have that, you can stake it for a recurring amount of API access every day, so you don't have to pay once. Very handy for hobbies like this. A reminder to check out the Venice Discord, share with the community what you're working on. Happy creating.